Hi, what's up you guys? My name is Kasia and I'm doing a massive Sex and the City rewatch. For that reason, today we will be deep diving into yet another of my favorite SATC episodes, The Agony and the Ecstasy. In case the title doesn't tell you much, we are talking about the episode where Carrie has a crappy birthday, Charlotte confronts Trey about their marriage, Samantha is in her Fleabag era and fancies a hot priest, Miranda has a single comedy routine, and the ladies make their iconic Soulmates pact. So this episode opens with such a fun and light getting ready montage. In one of the shots we can spot Carrie's turquoise Manolos that Pete, Aiden's dog, will later chew on, and we get a first glimpse of this episode's main fashion sponsor, which was Chanel. Surprisingly, Carrie is the only one who doesn't get to carry a ludicrously non-capacious Chanel Spring 2001 bag, but I wouldn't be surprised if the cape and the fingerless gloves she's wearing turned out to be Chanel too. So the ladies are on their way to an engagement party of a guy named Danny they all have been somewhat sexually involved with, and I love that it creates absolutely no conflict in their friendship. They're like, yeah, whatever. Unfortunately for them, the party absolutely sucks. Danny confuses Miranda with Charlotte. Drunk Charlotte overshares to a stranger about her problems, which is very funny. As always, drunk Charlotte never disappoints. Samantha flirts with a guy who turns out to be a complete jerk. Carrie and Miranda are being patronized by people in relationships, as always. And so they leave the party. Charlotte decides to confront Trey about their sex life in the middle of the night, and this girl is prepared. She has a list of pros and cons. She is ready to have this serious conversation at like 2 in the morning. But Trey gets a little too excited. And it's such an awkward yet funny, yet painful scene to watch.
I'm sorry, Charlotte. May I get you a hanky?
On the next day, Carrie finds a dating service application in her mail, and this is something that I only caught on a recent rewatch. Carrie is slightly repulsed by this letter, and it's not explained in the dialogue at all, but I feel it was pretty much self-explanatory back then. You know, this episode was aired in the year 2001, long before the invention of social media, long before dating apps became pretty much the new norm. And even though in the early 2000s dating online very much existed, many people still viewed it as an inferior way of meeting others, or even that, you know, there has to be something wrong with people who use those kind of services. It is crazy how the world has changed since, but yeah, really, if you're going to rewatch this episode, pay attention to this scene, because there really is that jump scare for the viewers to be like, oh jeez, but she's not that desperate, is she? Anyway, Carrie brings this advertisement to the brunch with the ladies. This is when they have that very famous soulmates discussion. Charlotte strongly believes in soulmates, Carrie is skeptical, Miranda is cynical, and Samantha, as always, has the best take on the topic.
Look, the bad thing about the one perfect soulmate is that it's so unattainable. You're being set up to fail.
And this is also when we learn that Carrie is soon to be a birthday girl. So Samantha suggests she'll throw Carrie a birthday dinner, as Carrie is turning 35 and is, well, quite wistful about it. She eventually agrees, and then Samantha asks Carrie whether she should invite Mr. Big. But why Big and not Aiden? Technically, Carrie did invite Mr. Big to her birthday party in season 2 after their first breakup, so maybe Samantha thinks he's a regular guest now, but it's weird, as Carrie just broke up with Aiden. They should be talking about him, right? I don't know, make it make sense, I guess. And then Samantha spots the OG hot priest. And yes, a quick Google search told me that Sex and the City wasn't the first TV show to use the idea of a priest as a possible romantic interest. But for me, this is the original one. And if you are now confused, you have absolutely no idea what I'm hinting at, let me introduce you to I recently rewatched Fleabag. In case you haven't heard about this TV show, well, just give it a go. It only has 2 seasons, it is already considered a modern classic, and honestly, the least you know about it, the better. And it is a dark comedy, like really, some scenes are truly hilarious and they live rent-free in my brain.
I look like a pencil.
The main protagonist is this 30-something woman who is deeply suffering and vulnerable, yet she masks her real emotions with cynicism and wit. And sorry for the mild spoiler, but there is a big twist at the end of season 1. And funny enough, whenever I'm discussing Fleabag with cishet men, they tell me they didn't see the twist coming. The reveal was shocking to them, whereas us, ladies, we knew halfway through the first season where we're like, oh no. Is it a coincidence? Maybe. Nonetheless, ladies, did you know too? I know you did. And at the beginning of the first season of Fleabag, we are introduced to a new character, the priest. It is immensely shocking how similar this Fleabag storyline is in comparison to this Sex and the City episode. Or at least at the beginning it is. I don't want to spoil too much. Conversely, this cannot be a coincidence. It just can't.
He is a priest. He is a hot priest.
The priest is quite hot. So hot.
Just like Fleabag stalks her priest to a Sunday mass, so is Samantha. She gives him her business card, which was printed on the thinnest piece of paper ever. We've already seen Samantha handling her business cards before, and Kim Cattrall is such a pro. She always holds them so delicately so that they won't wrinkle, as this sheet of paper is so thin and not durable. Like, I don't even want to know what would Patrick Bateman say about Samantha's business cards. And later in the episode, Samantha visits the priest again. She brings him canned goods. She tries to help the community while simultaneously flirting with him. I mean, what a girl boss. But look, I get why Samantha is attracted to the priest or friar or monk. It is confusing who he actually is because Carrie and Samantha are using those nouns as if they were literal synonyms, and clearly they are not. However, he looks like the twin brother of Mr. Too Big. The resemblance is uncanny. And our girl Samantha certainly has a type. All these men look the same. Unfortunately for Sam, the priest politely rejects her, and so all that is left to do for poor Samantha is go home and work on her operatic voice. Oh, it's so funny. And her workout wink gives her the most beautiful glow.
Your face is glowing. Did you get a facial or something?
As it turns midnight, Carrie is officially 35. She leaves Big a message and she says she's officially old. It is understandable and relatable that she's feeling anxious about getting older. In the early 2000s, so many TV shows had an episode about a main character turning 30, not even 35, and having an emotional spiral. Ally McBeal has an entire episode about Ally freaking out she's turning 30.
It's worse than death, Renee. I'm 30.
There is a Friends episode where the entire squad is reminiscing on their depressing 30th birthdays.
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Thank goodness there's always been that one TV show that told us you can be single and in your 30s and 40s and have an amazing and fun life. So even if Carrie is approaching her mid-30s with a lot of emotions, we all know she's going to be absolutely fine. All she has to do is survive her very sad birthday party. So in the evening, Carrie arrives at the party venue, which is this pretty romantic looking restaurant. She's dressed in this gorgeous Prada Spring 2001 set, and she's wearing this cute Prada headpiece as a headband. And okay, previously, she was a little bit anxious and wistful about turning 35, but you know what? Now she has her confidence back. She looks fabulous, she's happy, she's going to share this day with her closest friends, and nobody shows up. So she ends up sitting alone in this restaurant for 45 minutes. Then she's asked to pay for her own birthday cake, which was so humiliating for her that she decided to just take the cake and go home. I feel for Carrie in this episode. Celebrating birthdays as an adult is already tricky, I find. Generally, we shouldn't expect anything big or special, right? And I'm sure that we all have had at least one crappy birthday. Probably the majority of birthdays celebrated in 2020 weren't the funniest, or maybe some of you graduated in front of your computers during the never-ending lockdowns. I turned the mythical 30 years old in May 2020, and this day was very different than I imagined and planned. I didn't drop my birthday cake in a construction site though. I cannot imagine how stressful and mortifying the situation was for Carrie. And then Carrie gets home, she listens to all the messages from the girls and Stanny, and it always cracks me up when Charlotte says,
Carrie, I'm in traffic. They're paving Fifth Avenue.
Carrie knows that. She learned this the hard way. The construction site was the main reason why everyone was so late to this party. Eventually, Carrie meets the ladies at their favorite coffee shop. They share a dessert, which is so cute. And then Charlotte delivers one of the most iconic lines from the entire show.
Maybe we could be each other's soulmates. And then we could let men be just these great, nice guys to have fun with.
This scene, this idea, had a massive influence on me. And not just on me, actually. Pretty much every girl that I met in my life who later became my close friend swore by this rule. You know, boys come and go, romantic relationships sometimes do fall apart, yet we stay united as besties. It's a 10 out of 10 Sex and the City episode. I love it so much, and frankly, I wish this was the final scene of this episode because it would end on such a sweet and uplifting note. But no, Mr. Big has to spoil the moment with his gibberish nonsense.
I like the word soul. I like the word mate.
Can you tell that with every episode I'm becoming more and more fed up and annoyed with him? Luckily, we won't be seeing him in season 2 of And Just Like That. And tell me, are you excited for season 2? I know I am, as the trailer looks promising, but only time will tell. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!